All right, everybody, welcome to Cali Cat Tap Talks. I got an amazing person here, and his name is Richard Blank, and he's going to talk about how he left Philly at 27, moved to Costa Rica, built an amazing business with 10,000 employees, I believe, right? 10,000 employees, and he just followed his dreams. So we're going to listen to that. And he's a pinball guy, which is really amazing because here, I'm from California, so in Alameda County, there's a pinball museum, and every year they open it up for beer heads, and we go and drink beer, and we play pinball, which is pretty cool. So let's get right back to Richard. Tell us your journey.
Kalika, I'm so happy to be with you and your audience today. This is awesome. Let me buy the first round. But what a story. The long shot from Philadelphia. In fact, prior to going live on this podcast, you and I were talking about being the long shot and being authentic and giving back. So, I'm one of you. You're one of me. I'm one of everybody. So I was just a kid that followed his dream. I was a Spanish major in college. Post-grad, I worked for an importer of Corona beer, so I can talk a little bit about doing promotions and going around the four corner states and hanging out with the distributors. But it was a good run. And then at 27, I came to Costa Rica and decided to stay, fell in love, started a business. And the only correction is, yes, 10,000, but those are individuals that passed through my training classes. Not all of them stayed. Throughout the course of 2 decades, I've trained over 10,000, but my company has grown to, a solid 150 over the years. It's small, but it packs a punch. Just trying to do it the old school way, Cali Cat, just trying to pay it forward with some good lessons so they can take it with them for the rest of their lives.
So, at the age of 27, did you think that you were going to move over to Costa Rica?
I was building on momentum, Callie. And so sometimes
Really?
it's like a boxer training. They just want to get in the ring and get in the game. And so when I had this 1 in a million opportunity, I had a very good base Spanish. And I had the desire, and 27 is a great age. I still have my hair. And so I came down here, and a friend of mine gave me a great job. And I got a chance just to ease into it compared to being thrown into it. And so I made a lot of good friends. And when you have good intentions, it's very easy to acclimate and become a part of another community. You just shed a skin, keep an open mind, kind of go with the flow because you're not the big man on campus anymore. You're the new kid. And so your senses are just enhanced. Besides the translation and the Spanish, every day is something new and something fresh. And so not only are you on your toes, but I believe that your life is much more lucid and alive. And so I was kind of addicted to that rush of being an expatriate and being the one kid that kind of has to make new friends and build on that personality.
Wow. So you said you had 150 employees, you trained over 10,000. I'm still set back from, how did you come about with the idea of the call center?
Great question, Callie. Well, I was only supposed to be here for 2 months, but I decided to stay. And I got past my parents' guilt and other expectations. And I stayed at my friend's call center, and I learned the business from the inside out. So I got to sit with people. It's a ton of testing before buying. And so in the course of 4 years, I went through multiple departments and learned the ins and outs. And so when it was time for me to choose a career in my mid-30s, when I had the maturity and the impulse control and some capital, I kind of was going with what I knew. The only difference is I needed specialists. I needed people that had expertise in IT and the technology. I needed a labor law attorney and a human resources department. I couldn't do all that. So I needed to bring in team players. But as the core of the crew, sharing the soft skills, Cali Cat, that you and I have, the sort of empathy that's extended and this sort of California-Philadelphia mix that when you move abroad, people are just dying to learn it. Yeah, we were teaching fun classes, kind of like the favorite teacher that you had or the gym coach that motivated you. And so I like to incorporate play, which is the pinball and the other arcade machines, with some personality. And I'm teaching people where English was their second language. So once again, it was enabling me as a native speaker to adjust grammar, make suggestions in regards to diplomatic and strategic vocabulary, and give the people composure to make and receive phone calls and doing at a certain high class level. So they have these skills and become extremely marketable.
Wow. So what made you give back to students?
Very simply put, I did not have the grades. When I graduated the proud Abington High School in '91, I was an average student. I excelled outside the classroom. I was a tri-letterman and raised money in different areas and had fun, but the grades weren't carrying it. I couldn't get into good colleges. And so my dedicated Spanish teacher, Doña Esperanza Galshak, and the late principal, Norman Schmidt, they both wrote me recommendation letters, and both of them were enough to get me into the University of Arizona. So without them, their support, their leverage, their faith in me to get my act together, it would have never happened. And so the circle's complete. I now do a second language scholarship for someone graduating Abington so I can play for their books freshman year. But a second language scholarship, I mean, I'm not putting anything away from the arts or athletics or other areas where people can get a scholarship. But the second language to me was interesting. Why? Because I did it. People in my family couldn't believe it. It was outside the box in the bubble. And so anyone that has that dedicated practice and that sort of desire, that is something that you can't spin. And when you meet someone from that other culture and they embrace it, and all they want to do is enhance it, it was such a nice reinforcement that I was getting from the Latino community. I kind of knew I was doing something right. And it was just collecting quarters. Cali Cat kept adding up, enough money to go to the arcade.
Yeah, I think it was meant for you to go to Costa Rica and start your spiritual journey over there, which is simply amazing. So you hired a bassist. It's Gary Beers to produce a rock song for you.
For your audience that doesn't know Cali Cat, Gary Beers, the bassist of the legendary Australian band In Excess. Make a long story short, the first friend I ever made down here was Roberto Ruiz, better known as Iggy Faroki, a rocker that goes back to the late 70s. Anyway, he and I have been friends for a couple decades, and he decided to write a song for my call center called Shine Like the Sun. So we produced a local song, played around the country with it. Next thing you know, I was listening to a podcast interview of Gary Beers talking about creates custom-made basses out in Los Angeles. And so I went on his website, and one section said, "Hire Gary." I checked it out. Cali Cat, he goes, "If you got a song, send it to me, and if it makes the cut, I'll work with it on you." And he started off at like $600. And so I was like, what? I would do that just for an autograph. And so I wrote him, and I let him know I had a song, and the guy wrote me back, and I couldn't believe it. I was so starstruck. It was like Santa Claus. I was writing him a 3-page letter how much I loved In Excess. And he liked the song. And it was very interesting. He was in Los Angeles. He was able to take out the bass that we sent to him, and he overlapped his version from being conservative to funky, a couple different versions. He put in some synthesizers, some percussion, sent it back, and the guy mixed it. And they also did a performance video. And what an experience. Music. What a great way to transfer energy between humans. It's a gift that keeps on giving. I've listened to that song 1,000 times. And the fact that it was produced is amazing. But thank you for bringing that up, Cali Cat.
Yeah, I saw it. I was like, man, you are just an amazing journey. I mean,
Didn't you ever want to make an MTV video from the 80s? I got arcade games, old convertible, Cabriolet convertible. It was like a kid's dream come true. And,
Yeah.
you get to play. And if you can support the arts in one way or another, that's amazing. My thing was I like producing music. So, yeah, I got a chance.
Wow. So, being an entrepreneur, was that an easy task, or was that a hard task for you?
You could look at it two ways. Some people say get the job with the salary and the benefits, but you kind of get tapped out and there's really not that security.
Mm-hmm.
In my mid-30s, I kind of wanted to test myself, but I wanted to do it in a conservative way. I didn't overextend by just renting places and doing things and then going bust. I was renting a turnkey station at a blended center, like an internet cafe, so I could build it per seat per month, pay my taxes and make a margin. So I could, once again, the risk and the reward was fantastic. It was just play as you go, kind of like getting a plane seat. You're still making money, and it just wasn't glamorous. And so through like the game of life, you just keep expanding. So from there, I was able to rent space and get secondhand computers, which was able to offset price. And then I was able to purchase a building and grow from there. But I tell you what, if you think you got it, then go for it. At least test it and see where you go. And I had a lot of naysayers and great believers out there that were telling me I should be going into different careers. And there's social expectations. Come on, Cali Cat. No one writes a blueprint of being a CEO of a call center in Spanish. And that's why my stuff is interesting. I had a couple zig and zags in there, a couple half moon curves. None of this was just a straight line set up for me. I don't know. Maybe I wanted to slay a dragon and save a princess and have some sort of life that I was at least content with. And to be an entrepreneur, you got to be brave. And you need to, during those private moments, when there's people there not watching it, those are the ones that count the most. When you're getting up early, staying up late, sacrificing certain days or events. And so those are the ones that know how to grind it, and they have the capacity to do the long game. And some people call it the forced march. I'm not talking about creating an app and being a millionaire overnight. I'm not saying that. I'm talking Cali Cat, you and I going the full 12 rounds. Mm-hmm. The full distance. Really getting off of that mountain and getting across that desert or surviving on the high seas. It's those stories of relentless endurance and faith in oneself where you become crazy in a sense to keep on going. But those that do continue that remaining 20%, they're the ones that usually can achieve greatness. That's the only way I can explain it in that sort of term.
Wow. So what would you tell a person that wants to pursue a dream?
At least test things. What sort of dream are you looking for? It's very broad. My thing was built on momentum. The Spanish turned into where can I take the Spanish where it could work. I know naturally I couldn't take my Spanish and go to East Germany. I mean, it wouldn't make sense. And so what I was thinking was, how could I have a foundation, almost like a basket where I can catch? And so by practicing certain public speaking skills, writing skills, rhetoric, copious dictation note-taking before AI was even created, learning to be interested compared to being interesting, and really just engaging, and not for just false flattery, just to, I don't know, just to see if people have any sort of depth and can they tell you a half-decent story. Why? So maybe 10 years from now, someone ever says, hey, do you know Cali Cat? I go, of course I know Cali Cat. What an impression she left on me. Super duper. And so that's what I'm saying. It could be the fleeting 5 minutes where you meet someone, but they make such an impression that you remember it for the rest of your life. I don't need all of your time. I just need a few minutes. And if we can have a high five and connect and share a smile and a story, then I've passed that flame of the candle and now we can move on. And so That's the way I see things, my friend. I don't like pushes and pulls. I like really natural motions and movement. So it feels right.
Yeah, yeah, I totally agree with you. And I wish I just had you earlier in my life.
Yeah, but
But
then it would have been a lot different. You needed to be here at this stage now. You needed those scars. I can.
hey, but learning from failure. What was your learned failure? Because some people think when they fail, they just give up. I think when you fail, you're learning. And you just need to move on and learn from your failure. What was yours?
Cali Cat, it really depends on the weight.
Really?
Was it my own weight? Or was the failure due to individuals that had some sort of influence on it? And so I try not to carry that weight. I'd rather get disappointed than angry. Angry's heavy. It's a heavy red. I don't like that. And so I got to let it wash over me, go through me. Just, you got to put it to bed. And so guess what, kiddo? I'm going to take this big pile that you keep talking about. And I'm going to break it down into little piles. So A, it's manageable, and B, I can cut out 90% of the fat. Yeah, I'll take 10%, but the 90% I gotta put away because it is either outside of my control. It was something that someone sabotaged or deliberately did not come through that I depended upon. And so you can't be hard on yourself. And when I look at failure, I got to really scale it from a 1 to a 10. If I'm an idiot and I really did not put gas in my car and I'm in the middle of nowhere, that's on me. But, there's certain times when someone else is having a bad day and they create a terrible experience at dinner, or there's somebody that's just not considerate of others in public. And so, what do you do? What do you do? And so failure to me, mesh, the only time it upsets me, my good friend, is if I failed you. Because Cali Cat means more to me than $50 or something else, but I also have to put myself in your shoes and take 99 examples of our friendship into consideration compared to the one time you didn't text back, pick me up on time, forgot something. I mean, come on, cut her a break. And so I kind of scale things that way. Nothing's really a deal breaker. Nothing should be an ultimatum. And I treat myself the same way, Cali Cat, because I don't want to carry that weight, to be completely honest with you in regards to failure. But if you're talking about business, I've had 1,000 failures. Oh yeah, I got lucky. Just the one home run at the right time. But yeah, so be it. Do you just want me to post the greatest times on Facebook or Instagram, or do you want to get raw and just talk about the times I had to get back up after getting knocked down?
Let's get raw.
We get it.
Oh, so with all that said, and you mentioned AI, how will AI affect your business?
It's definitely going to gather, and it'll have reduced error, fatigue. You can have 24/7 now. You can have a queue that could be 1,000,000 people long. Everyone's going to get answered. My only suggestion is, because it will be taking the first and second levels of customer support through omni-channel non-voice, through texting, chat, emails, or as I say, if it's voice, it's integrated voice, where if they get better at it, where you don't have to repeat or enter, they will be able to answer the top 20 questions. It's what people like you and I may need from time to time if we're frustrated. If there's a sense of urgency, or depending on the importance, we may press 0. And I may want to, if I'm spending this money and this is a valued client relationship, I might want to speak to somebody on the phone to either resolve my issue, let me vent, or just see if there's a better deal. And so you will have a higher class concierge department at call centers that will be working with individuals like myself and other generations that prefer certain hand holding and personal contact compared to things that are done just via text or an email. And so But that is how it is. I believe in fair play.
Mm-hmm.
If somebody has $1 and they'd rather put it with a kiosk and get their hamburger perfect with extra pickles, better in that business because Joey behind the counter made that mistake. What do you want me to say? He put in extra onions. And so I kind of get it. Maybe just the way you guys do it that way is perfect compared to human error. And so I might lose that burger. And I get it. And so, but where we do strive is once again that sort of attentive nature, that relationship building rapport, retention, and the just really caring about your client. That's the one thing I think is the saving grace of this industry still, as much as it may have a bad rap, and everyone has a bad experience. They can also mention the one time that Betty over in Time Life gave them the deal of the century. And they got that football phone and had a really nice experience. And so, once in a while, those are the good players in my industry.
Well, it is, customer relationship is number one, especially when you need to talk to that customer, directly. That does help.
I agree.
When you look at your life, what part of your journey is still feels surreal? Take us through that.
Stepping off the plane and feeling the warmth of Costa Rica for the first time.
Really?
You ever see those movies, and I know it sounds cliche and cheesy, where you have that weird background music or the tingles, because all of a sudden something changed. I had that feeling. There was almost that thing where I was going to die with my boots on. I was going to do whatever I could to stay on this paradise where every day felt like a Saturday. And I had a ton of people, family, friends, and other people trying to get me to come back home to do things. And so it's out of love and sometimes protection and security. But those that take that sort of adventure in life and actually explore the cave, they might find gold. It's like a parent that doesn't want you to go on a roller coaster. They might think you get sick. What happens if you and I, Cali Cat, don't get sick? And we get the front row, which is the best, And we're doing the loop-de-loops and stuff. We don't get sick, have a great time. It's one of the best experiences, and you got to live it. It's almost like if you even want to go back further, what I was experiencing by that was almost the rush, the euphoria of walking across the dance floor in 8th grade, asking your crush to dance and her saying yes. And you couldn't believe it. As you talk about dreams, there are certain times of your life. It's a coming of age. And it wasn't me hitting a first home run or getting that first kiss or beating up a bully. This was a coming of age in my late 20s where I said, this is now your
calling.
So I was very bold and brave and confident. And I was not going to allow some small things to hold me back from this sort of thing that I felt destined, if that made any sort of sense.
Yeah, it made sense. So you weren't scared at all? You just took
I hit the gym. I feel like I'm from Philly, from like Rocky. But no, I tell you what, there's certain times you don't pet stray cats or poke bears. And I'm not down at 3 a.m. in Boys Town counting a row of hundies. What's wrong with you? You don't look for trouble. And trouble doesn't find you. And so I knew that being a guest in this country, if I followed rules. Here's an interesting thing, Cali Cat. I speak Spanish, but sometimes, because some Anglo-Saxons, North Americans do not speak Spanish, that I might have been in an environment that might have been questionable, or I just wanted to feel the situation out, so I wouldn't say anything, just to see if these guys were saying something about me in Spanish. And so it was a wonderful protective shield that I had that would reduce any sort of fear or stress that I might have, because things became much more clear and I adapt. And so, yeah, it's, why not live a James Bond life, be the expat, not know anybody, be 3,000 miles away from your mama. That's great. You see what you do. So why not, right? Drink life and see where it takes you.
Yeah. So how important was your mindset in your success story?
It was the discipline, my friend.
Really?
Yeah, because you can still run around the deck, but if your ship's going in the right direction, it's good. So I needed at least to have certain things in my life where you have the structure and the discipline and it produced. And so the first thing was the gym, so I can keep my health, because I was in bad health. I would have no way been able to do this. And then secondly, surrounding myself with individuals that would then mold my personality to be able to do this, because it changes a person. It's almost like an actor walking into a role, or you're always surprised when someone walks off the stage how they act. And so I had to put on the suit, and I had major responsibilities, and it's nonstop meetings and trainings and thinking on your feet. And so you build this sort of persona that can handle that sort of rhythm and pace. Does it mean that it's you? I didn't say that it's you, but you put anybody in a rocket or a fast car, as long as they don't kill themselves and they can still press the gas and go, anyone can hit 300. And so I hit 300, going fast, nonstop. And did I want to get off? It was too good. I got lucky. So sometimes you get as much as you can until it dries up. And so that's why I had a good long run. But it's not for everybody. And there are certain times where you can't turn it off. And that's a shame, because you and I could be hanging out and having a great time, but my mind could be elsewhere, thinking about an email, a training class, a client, and that's not fair to Cali Cat at all. And so right now what I'm trying to do is to separate the two. Terribly. It's not easy because it's blended so. But if anybody that wants to be an entrepreneur, you got to sometimes turn it off and go back to the person prior that you think you need to be, or who you have to be in order to get the job done.
Really?
Because because if I go hang out with my friends back in Philly and I start talking about telemarketing techniques, it's like cute for 2 minutes. Maybe they'll like tease me for a second, but the last thing they want is to hear it for an hour, like my friends. And maybe they're not interested in metrics or KPIs or this sort of script writing and stuff. So you got to choose your audience on this stuff. And that's all I've lived for this period of time. You got to talk about other things. You got to figure something else out. And so it's a healthy mix if your audience is able to have that thing stacked, and then once again have other piles of things that can bring you back to normalcy and ground you.
Wow. I love how you put that together. I fully understand. I know my audience will fully understand. So that's amazing. It's amazing.
My curtain. Yeah.
So do you feel more aligned with your purpose?
Today, yes. Yes, because I can see what's been accomplished after 19 years. So I can say, hey, look at all the bricks. Look at the wall. But in the beginning, it was the sort of thing where I didn't like the fact of the unknown. And that's such a terrible game to play with somebody. And nobody knows anyway. I mean, you don't know anything when you walk through a door, sit down to take a test, go on a date. Who knows what's going to happen? And so I think a lot of my initial energy was focusing on the darkness, not what my candlelight could produce around me so I don't step in things. And so if you're able to reduce that by a significant amount, you can focus on other things. But it's maturity, Cali Cat. Unless you had a mentor or your father passed a business to you and allowed you to sit next to them during meetings and decisions, it's very difficult to find that on your own. A lot of it's just trial and error. And then you figure it out. And so a lot of mistakes were rookie mistakes, but most of my mistakes were when I had faith in somebody and I thought they were going to come through. And Maybe I just had expectations, but as I said before, don't be hard on yourself. If you only had some sort of structure prior and a blueprint, it's easier. But if you're just, as you say, how do you start? Where do you start? As I say, take big piles to small piles, divvy it out, see what's going on. It makes it easier to see. And for me, what reduced my stress was these additional departments. As I mentioned, the IT, HR, the lawyers, the whoever's, the security, let them do it. You know what I mean? It's the smart person that would rather pay an extra $10, right, and give himself some Wi-Fi when they walk off a plane somewhere in a country compared to trying to find a free Wi-Fi spot. If there's any way I can take a taxi directly to the hotel or get immediate Wi-Fi so I can get a map, those things make the difference. Even a Cinnabon at the airport for $20. It could be the best one you ever had. So, as I say, there's certain times in life you need to treat yourself. And so I just realized I could pay for things to either move to the front of the line or to make things a little bit easier or to save time.
Wow. You know, I'm an entrepreneur myself, but we'll talk later. But this is all.
What you doing, Cali Cat? Maybe I can
It's-
give you some quick advice. You always have a couple things up your sleeve.
we will talk offline on that one.
Okay, of
Um,
course.
um, as we wind down, I would like for the audience, including myself, I really want to know what would you, I consider you a legend, me
You're so
personally,
kind.
coming from here, going to there. Um, what would you tell us? What is your legendary? What would you leave behind? What would you want people to think of you?
I guess just someone that was, in a sense, selfless. Why would someone move to another country and teach English? I mean, there's business associated with it, but if you look at the core of where I've invested the majority of my time, it's at another country and representing our country in the best light. Um, Someone that was just an educator, someone that paid it forward in his own way. And it could be the kind of thing where it's like the butterfly effect. The 10,000 people, let's just say hypothetically, I didn't teach them English, they knew English, but I might have taught each one thing that was something that was ethical, moral, or just in a way enhanced an experience, and they could have passed it down to their wife and then the children and the grandchildren. So that one expression, that one manners at dinner, or the one polite way to answer the phone or say goodbye or to greet someone could be part of a tradition at a family. And I don't know, maybe it was. It's better than just handing someone a piece of candy. Yeah, it's tasty for 5 minutes and then it goes away. But then if I taught you something, then maybe by sharing an idea with you, that thing might last a couple years or maybe even more. And so 10,000, the odds are maybe 10 people took something. Who knows? You know, but at least those 10. And that's more than enough. And so I guess my legacy was just someone that just was naturally drawn to another environment for one reason or another. Yeah.
I think it's beautiful.
Thank you, Cali Cat.
I think it's very beautiful. You have a very beautiful legacy. I mean, I was reading your bio, I checked out some of your podcasts, and I was like, don't get nervous talking to him on your podcast, Callie.
Not selling a
And
book.
oh my God. Maybe you should sell a book. Maybe you should hire somebody and put the book together and put it out there. I mean, get your ebook, Amazon. I think you're just an amazing individual.
Thank you, Cali. Maybe one
I
day.
mean, no, you're an amazing individual now. You were an amazing individual when you left Philly at 27, stepped in another country. Look how successful you are. You didn't stop. You just kept going. And then you was like, I don't know the name of it, started with an A, your high school, and you gave back. Who does that? There's not a lot
Your
of
friend?
people. Yeah, I mean, seriously, who does that? Your
Why not?
spirit, yeah, it takes you over there. I wish everybody would give back. You're just an amazing individual, and it just want to
Callie,
tell you that.
you're so kind. And unfortunately, a lot of people did not have a good high school experience. They didn't have friends,
Mm.
which is a shame. And so for me, I like to give credit where credit is due. Besides the teachers, I had some of the best friends back then that were very kind and united. And so I tell you what, the greatest thing you can have along the way are real individuals in your life. The ones that like you for who you are, that call you just to say hi, not because they want 20 bucks or they want you to move some furniture or something. So, yo, Callie, what's going on with you? Yeah, what's happening? Us things, just call me anytime. Or, the best of the friends, the ones that remember things about you. Not just birthdays, but if you mention a small thing or someone instead of just when you mention something like your tap broom and how to start those things, instead of saying, oh yeah, that's great, Callie, but then go, yo, Callie, what's your favorite beer? I saw that you had Heineken in one picture one time, right? On that
Hmm.
Instagram page. And so, yeah, you're cool. And so you ask 2 to 3 or 4 follow-up questions. So instead of going horizontal, you go vertical to give you the roots. So you find out more. And I guess my skill is I find people extremely interesting and they tell me some amazing stories. And like a third grader, I keep asking more questions. My wife's like, what are you doing? I'm like, come on, Callie got so interesting. Tell me more, tell me more. Uh, yeah.
The one thing I do every year, believe it or not, I stand in line for 18 hours to get a beer.
Where's
Yeah,
this?
it's in Sonoma County, so it's Russian River,
Yeah.
and people fly around the world, and it's always on the news. And people they're at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, um, to wait for the grand opening of this beer that they produce once a year. And I'm one of those people that stand in line for 18, maybe 20 hours to get a beer.
That's
Uh,
so old school. It's like you're waiting for In Excess rock tickets. I love it. You must make the best friends out there. That must be a huge party, right?
I love talking to people. It's just, you go talk, socialize, you know, it's the atmosphere. The vibe is good. I love people.
You should do like a special episode where you take like 5 to 10 minutes per person and stick them together for like a podcast episode.
Yeah, you're right. I'm going to take that idea. Okay, as we wind down, I'd like to take the time to say thank you. I really appreciate you. Appreciate you telling your story about your journey. And, my audience is simply just love you. So, we're going to say tapping out to Richard Black. And thank you for being on the show.
Thank you so much, Kelly Cat.